Oh, warming my feet up here. The dog has the same idea. It feels like Monday. I'm already tired. Can hardly walk from our run yesterday. So tired today.
Yeah.
That was brutal. Did not want to do that. I don't feel in a great mood right now.
I think we're gonna need to roast today.
What's this?
Yum yums, huh? Look at that.
Last week, we posted a video where we kind of explained our talking back policy. And the point of that was just to highlight that talking back comes in a lot of different versions. Kids are really smart. So if they say, screw you, mom and dad, that's like obvious. They don't usually say that. It usually comes in the form of, we say, hey, can you do this? And they say, why? Or they say, yeah, in 5 minutes. Or they say, well,
They think of some excuse.
I did it last time, isn't it?
Why?
So-and-so's turn. And we were just kind of saying that to us, we put that in the, even though you're hearing, we put that in the rebellion category. So even though the words might have a question mark at the end, we all know there's ways to say things where they're not really asking a question. So our rule very simply is, if you have a question, you can ask about it afterwards. And it usually doesn't happen, which tells us it was never a question. So we have kind of a no talking back policy in this house with adults, and we got a lot of comments about that. And I want to review some of those. The first one was by Amy, and she said, high five on the no back sassing policy. It's go in my house too. Never have and never will tolerate disrespect. So I want to clarify one thing in regards to disrespect, because I don't know if we're on the same page or not. I can't tell from your comment, Amy. I'm sure we are in some ways, but this is not something we do as parents because we feel like we deserve respect. This isn't about our honor, like putting little crap kids in their place. I know you're not saying it that way.
That definitely rises up in me when my kids talk back. But I think there's like something greater that we need to address than just the disrespect. And that's kind of what you're trying to say.
Yeah, which is that we believe that the best parenting is done out of the child's best interest. And for a child to ignore the counsel and wisdom of someone that is older, wiser than them, and cares about them more than they care about themselves, I think is actually a very dangerous place to be. And I think that's true. That's the ultimate model of what happens when we actually disrespect God's ways. Is we believe he is older than us, he's wiser than us, and he cares about us more than we care about ourselves. So we're training our kids in that way.
We want them to learn this lesson in the safety of our home instead of having to learn it out in the world.
So the reason why I'm responding to your comment is I hear a lot, and it's happened to us, parents saying, well, you'll never disrespect me.
It's almost like the parent has to get bigger, and so that the kid needs to get smaller, and
like, know your place because I'm insecure. Lila on another video said, please do not hit your kids. That feels condescending to me. We teach our kids just because you say please in front of something doesn't make it okay. This is just so simplistic to me, this type of rule. I think I understand where it's coming from. It's like, okay, don't be mean, and hitting is mean. But parenting is a little bit more complex to me than just creating these black and white rules of like, don't hit your kids. Don't say, shut up. Don't blah, blah, blah.
Don't yell.
Don't yell. I don't mind hitting my kids or yelling, shut up, or yelling if and when it's appropriate. I don't believe it's appropriate to do these things out of anger, but actually I don't believe it's really much appropriate to do any form of discipline out of anger, even if it's saying, please sit in the corner. But I will say this, if you are not willing to use any form of physical discipline with your kids, you are taking a major tool out of your tool belt. And I think you are way overcompensating for something that our culture is finding a very simple answer for, which kind of leads us to the questions that started this whole discussion. Andy V said, so if the kids do talk back, how do you respond? And Joy is asking the same thing. How do you guys address back talk when it does happen?
What actually happens with me is I tolerate a lot of talking back. So the kid will talk back, and then either I'll recognize, oh, they're talking back to me after a little while, and then I'll say, hey, that's not okay, you know, you can't talk back to me, do your job. And I've been learning to say, if you have a complaint or a question, talk to me later about it, but right now is not the appropriate time. Now, if they keep on doing it, sometimes I'll bring Ben into it, sometimes he'll step into it, even just because he hears it.
In our relationship, I'm the one that can see through the bullshit a little bit easier. Yeah. In other relationships, it's not always the guy. It could be the guy or the girl. Yeah. Whoever can like spot it and sees the person getting walked on. Now, in a marriage, I actually think it's that person's responsibility to speak up, even if they're not talking back to me. Sometimes they're talking back to Cammie, and I could be upstairs like, well, it's not me, it's not my problem. But it's not about Cammie's honor that I'm protecting in this case. It's actually, it's bad for the kid. It's a team effort thing with the parenting that I would speak up to the kid if I see this happening. And one person might be better at it than the other person. So yeah, it happens all the time where I hear the kid talking to Cammie, and I'll step in because I just have that ability more than she does in that way.
To see it and to not have as much tolerance for it.
But I think what they're asking for the nitty gritty, like how do we discipline our kids? Which is a hard thing to talk about.
I mean, because we're talking about like teenagers, basically. But then there's little kids too. Both. So it's different. It's going to be different with our 6-year-old. With our
6-year-old, it's very simple.
Yeah.
You know,
because she like will take it and be like, okay.
The younger the kids are, the more simple the consequences. And this is where, for 2, 3, 4-year-olds, if you're not using pain, I would say you're not using effective discipline. And I'm talking physical pain. Explaining complicated concepts to kids, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, you're talking to yourself. You're stroking your own ego and making yourself feel better, but it's not what's best for the kid. They're very simple. It's like cause and effect.
I would say it's just not even appropriate to like explain things to a 2-year-old on the level of, I mean, how you explain it is it's very simple, and sometimes it needs to be physical pain because that's the only thing that they'll respond to.
So with Filia now, she's 6. It doesn't happen very often. We're talking maybe once a month where she'll talk back, and I'll grab her little cheeks like this and I'll be like, you do not talk back to your mother. Do you understand? I'm not angry when that happens. Most all the time. I don't think I've ever been angry with Filia. She knows it. I know it. Everyone knows it. But it is serious. Like, this is a big deal.
But with our 15-year-old, that looks different. It's not as appropriate to grab her cheeks and, you know. What we say to our older kids when they talk back to us is, you are heading down a very dangerous path right now, and it actually leads to destruction. And we kind of want to scare them a little bit because we actually believe that that's true.
You have to believe that as a parent. I think it's easier to believe that stealing or swearing is more dangerous than actually rebelling against the God-given authority in your life. And I don't think those things are more dangerous.
Which is every human heart does that, but we believe it's one of our jobs as a parent to call that out and say, hey, your heart is rebelling right now, and if you keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that, and you're 20 and you're 30 and you're 40, there's going to be a lot of pain in your life.
The consequences are going to get higher and higher, and it's not us giving them anymore because our job is done at that point. But we're looking down the path that they're heading, and we're seeing the pain there, and we're trying to toss roadblocks and pain before they get there and say, it's your choice, but we're gonna try and de-incentivize this choice as much as possible. Hope that helps. I hesitate in giving a discipline video of like what we do or how to, because for us, the point isn't the methodology. How you parent each kid is so specific to your child, your background. That's why I wouldn't say like, oh, you should spank. But I also would not say you should not spank. To me, those are such a narrow way of looking at the world. We should do anything that is in the best interest of teaching our children these truths that we want them to learn.
From my background, I think I had a really hard time spanking our kids for a number of years because I didn't really understand why I was doing it, and it was scary to me. And so I understand like people being opposed to it. And I mean, if you're not able to do it, like I would say, okay, that, I think you can still parent and love your child and stuff. But I had to kind of get to a point where I had to believe in it and say, I actually think I'm loving my child by giving them a spank sometimes. But that was a long road for me. So
I'm gonna go up and start my writing. Cammie is starting to read with the kids. We are gonna end the vlog right here just because we used up all our time for today. Thanks for considering this hard topic. We'll see you guys tomorrow.